Hey everyone, this is a quick walkthrough for your description essay. I want you to use some of the steps we do in this video as you look at your photo or your photograph or your painting or your whatever you've picked, and go ahead and analyze it and write your paper with some of the tips we learned in this video today. So what you want to do first whenever you're looking at your painting or photo or whatever is take it out. Take it out in front of you, pull it up on your screen, do whatever you have to do. I've pulled up mine here. It's what you're looking at. And you're going to want to take out a sheet of paper and a pen. And you're going to, kind of like if you were reading a story, you're going to want to take down initial thoughts, right? So I'm going to walk you through, let's say I'm doing this assignment. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do whenever you kind of come up to your assignment. So let's say that, okay, so I've picked this photo. Let's say my teacher provided this photo and I'm like, oh, this is good enough. I'll do this one, but I don't know anything about art, right? You could start with a small search online as to who painted your photo or who took your photo. You could look at the date in which it was published or procured. Um, you could see where it's currently housed, like what museum has it or what facility holds it or what collector has it. You could look into maybe some of the history surrounding that painting. All of those things are supplemental things. Those are things you'd include in your introduction paragraph maybe, or in your conclusion paragraph if you have something really interesting to say. If you do look up information, secondary information, and you do include it in your paper, whether direct quoted or paraphrased, all of those things about your painting are not common knowledge, right? That's why you went and looked it up. If it was common knowledge, you wouldn't have to look it up. But if you do utilize any of the information you find in your paper, you will need to quote it or paraphrase it, and you will need to include a citation for it, right? So if that sounds like a big old pain in the butt and you don't want to do that, don't look anything up, right? The point of this assignment is your description skills, right? Your description essay utilizes description skills. So you're simply going to, with this painting or photograph of your choice, look at things and summarize things and make conclusions about things that are directly related to the descriptions you find, right? So getting started. You can't see me, but I am looking at my photo. I have a pen and paper in front of me, and I'm ready to analyze this picture. I'm ready to describe it, right? The first thing I see is the woman in a nice soft pink dress. It's a lot of lacy white there. You can kind of see it kind of in each corner. She's the very center of this photo, right? A lot of light on top of her. I see that she has some really great silk stockings. She's got a shoe on one foot, and she's flicking the shoe playfully off her other foot, right? So already we kind of get a mischievous feel from this girl in the painting. She's sitting on what looks like a very plush red velvet stool with a gold trim. That's really interesting. It doesn't look very affordable, if you will. It looks very luxurious. And moving on, you see a nice hat swirl here, very lush hat, nice tight ropes on top of that swing connecting in. And if you follow along, so you're saying, okay, first thing I see is this girl, right? I'm going to write a whole paragraph on just this girl, and I'm going to describe what she's wearing. I'm going to describe what I see underneath her, around her. She's flicking her shoe off. I'm going to say what kind of character she must have based on the evidence in that description, right? And then you can go a little more broadly if you wish, right? You have what looks like someone hanging out in the bushes here. She looks playfully in his direction. We can maybe assume this is a lover, someone who shouldn't be there, if only because you have some fencing here at the bottom. Most people don't hang out in lush fenced in areas, right? Some overgrown, nice foliage here, kind of overgrown in all of the corners of the painting, right? We're not in the middle of the woods here, right? If you see some of that architecture, that villa architecture in the back, these stone pieces kind of hanging out around, nice, really strong looking bear holds into the flooring of the painting here around the nice fencing. This isn't the woods we're talking about. You can infer from the description, from what you're seeing, that this is a place that's been cultivated, right? This is a place that maybe is a garden or a villa connected space that only certain people are allowed into, and those certain people do not include this man sitting in the bushes in a fenced-in area. So we can maybe assume that there's some sort of love affair here. There's some sort of teasing here. A lot of overgrown foliage often means a lot of overgrown feelings, right? There's a fertility, an out of controlness to the atmosphere in this painting. And then you see alongside that man here, you go to the opposite corner, is a much older gentleman, kind of sitting down, sitting down, pushing onto the swing. Looks moderate, as far as you can tell, looks relatively happy, which you can assume means he doesn't know about this other man in the bushes, right? Perhaps someone she's betrothed to, while someone she's actually having a relationship, a torrid relationship with. These things can be inferred from. Now, if you're saying, I want to make those points in my paper, what would be the best way to do exactly that? And you could simply just use description, right, to back up your points. So if you say, I know this woman is having an affair with this man because of A, B, and C, and you list she's throwing her shoe in his direction, he's hiding out in the bushes, all of these things will give you clues into perhaps what the painting could mean more broadly, what it could represent more broadly. You don't have to make any art conclusions, right? I'm not assuming that all of you are art scholars at this point, but what I am saying is you can defend your argument that for this example, these two people are having a love affair. You could defend that premise with your descriptions, right? As long as there's evidence, you can defend most points. So moving on, you also see a few other things in this painting, right? So we started with the girl. We moved on to this man hanging out. We moved on to this man hanging out. And you move on, what else do we have going on here? You have this architecture in the background, kind of represents these people are of a luxury class, right? A leisure class, if you will. You have these statues here. You have some long stone statues. It looks like this one right here by the two lovers is saying, shh. Right? Finger over the mouth there, maybe telling everyone to be quiet, maybe assuming that there's a secret here that we should be privy to as viewers of this painting. You move on to the other statues. You have these two cherub-looking children looking a little in shock, a little also kind of in the throes of one another's arms, right? They're cherubs here, so don't mistake these for tiny babies, which you maybe could, and then you can make another inference. And then you look kind of a little further down, a little bit in the bushes, is this tiny dog, right? Barking. And oftentimes, here's your art tip for the day, oftentimes dogs in paintings are a symbol of fidelity, right? A symbol of loyalty. So the dog barking at the two lovers could be a symbol of trying to alert the betrothed man that we've assumed here into their love affair, or trying to alert the woman that she's doing something wrong and mischievous. You could make a lot of conclusions there just based on the description, just what you directly see right here in this paper, in this painting. So if I were writing this paper, I would have written all of those notes down and seen what kind of my major points were, right? We talked about the girl. That could be a paragraph. We talked about the lover. That could be a paragraph. We talked about the betrothal man. That could be a paragraph. We talked about these statues and the architecture in the background. That could be that could be a point in your paper. You talked about the shrubbery and all of the greenery. That's its own character of sorts in this painting. That could be a paragraph. The dog I would probably lump together with the statues, the scenery, the atmosphere, if you will, right, the setting of the painting, if I were writing a paragraph about that more broadly. And then you simply, in those paragraphs, describe what you see and why you think that main point is your point, right? If I want to say that this girl is coquette, she's a tease of sorts, right? How would I defend that? I'd say, well, she's flicking her shoe off towards a man in the bushes that shouldn't be there. She's swinging, knowing that she's being pushed by another man, and there's something to be said there, right? And I could say those things definitively with my description of my paper. If you say, I think that the man in the background is actually Hitler, for example, I'm not sure, that would be an example of a bad example, I'm not sure that you could defend that, right? I'm not sure that you could say, according to this painting, Hitler's actually pushing this woman on the swing. That's really hard to defend. That's not a good point, because you don't have a lot working here in this painting from 1767 to defend why Hitler would be in the background, right? So don't make outlandish points, I could say that, but do make some observations with your description and then conclude a thing or two, right? For your bit of tidbit today, This painting was painted in 1767. And in your paper, you're going to want to go ahead and mention who took your photo or who painted your painting, so that your readers know where they can find it, right? Where they can find it, where they can see what it is. A lot of my previous students for this assignment have put an actual picture, like a copy of that photo, in their paper, right underneath their title. And before you're like, sweet, that'll take up so much room in the paper, you still have to write the same amount even if you've included a picture. And if you include a picture, you must include a citation at the end of the paper saying where that picture came from, who the original painter was. And I'll go ahead and give you a generator to make that citation, and you'll have to include that in your paper. You can go ahead and check that out on my courses. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, go be free, use some description, and email me or Skype me if you have any questions or need a little more guidance. I'm giving you an example here of exactly what to do, but if you need a little more guidance as to how to replicate what we've done here with your picture or painting, just let me know and I can help you out. Okay, good luck.